Hey everyone, I got into both Harvard and Stanford business schools and thought I'd create this little video to share a bit about my journey and what it took me to get into Harvard and Stanford as an Indian male. If you're coming from a pool of Indians, know that you're probably from the most oversubscribed pool of applicants, which means that not only you're competing at the most competitive schools, you're also competing against or with the most competitive people. So how do you distinguish yourself in that area? Well, you are unique as you are really helped me embrace my own story and be authentic when I was writing my own essays. A lot of people would try to distinguish themselves and think about, oh, a lot of people from India come from tech or come from consulting or banking. Here is what I did different, and that is what makes me a standout applicant. Well, the problem with that is when you try to do that, you inevitably end up becoming like everybody else who's also trying to distinguish themselves. And I think it's more of a mindset issue rather than a practical or tactical issue. You may be writing about the same thing which you would be when you try to distinguish yourself or when you embrace who you are, but the flavor and how it reads across to an admissions committee would be totally different. And so what I would say is that understanding that yes, you are in the most competitive and overly subscribed pool of applicants, but at the same time, if you embrace who you truly are, realize that there's nobody else like you in that same situation. And if that is the case, chances are you will maximize your chances of getting into Harvard and Stanford. The second thing that I understood was that we really need to understand the values of each school. Stanford's mission is to change lives, change organizations, and change the world. And Harvard's is to do hard work with humility for humanity. And if you look at both these mission statements, sure, from one perspective, they're probably saying the same thing. But from another, they're also very, very different. Stanford is more entrepreneurial. Harvard is more consulting, investment banking, or private equity. Stanford is more, how can I have the maximum impact on the world? Harvard is, how can I really serve the world? And so the flavor of each of these schools is different. And to really maximize your chances of getting into any or both of these schools, you need to understand the value statement, the mission statement, the reason of existence of each school. And that is super critical, super important on your business school or higher education journey. The third thing, of course, it goes without saying, you need to have stellar scores, stellar letters of recommendation, an incredible resume, and a very thoughtful story. But what's something that you could do in preparation for that? Well, pursue depth, not breadth. I know a lot of us are excited by pursuing more things, or the more awards we have on our resumes, or the more things that we do at work, the better. What really, however, tends to happen is that the smaller your area of focus is, the deeper and more strong your impact is going to be. And when that comes through your essays or resumes or your overall demeanor in an MBA interview, it will be very authentic and it will be very high impact. So don't think about doing more. Think about what you can eliminate from doing and doing what you are doing, but doing it better than the others. The fourth thing that I've learned is that applying to these schools and getting in the most oversubscribed pool of applicants is a matter of persistence. I worked at this for months, if not years, and by constantly thinking about how can I make my application better, how can I make my story more pithy, more concise, how can I retake the GMAT and improve this particular skill in this particular section of the exam, and how can I articulate the projects very well, how can I communicate all of that in the most comprehensive manner and really indicate to both these schools the qualities that are necessary to get into these schools takes time. And if you can do that over a period of time, I would say it's next to guaranteed that you would be getting into one or both of these schools. And the last thing that I would say is to always figure out what are the traits that these schools are looking for. I talked about values, and I want to talk about traits because the kinds of applicants or the kinds of qualities that they're looking for in applicants are almost the same. They need to be intellectually curious, strategically oriented, results oriented, impact oriented, and go above and beyond their brief. Now, I understand that demonstrating these things is hard, But over a period of time, if you think enough about these, you would be able to see and pick out those anecdotes or stories from your work experience that actually show and hit all of these qualities. So think about it like a checkbox. And of course, I'm going to link this sheet of qualities that you need to focus on in the description below. But that is something that you need to be very consciously thinking about, even when you're not actively doing something for your business school application. So that's what worked for me to get into business school. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And if there's any way I can help, do share this with others.